You know that feeling?
Yeah.
Just the sheer mental weight of trying to manage everyone else around you, their opinions, what they expect, all their drama. It's absolutely exhausting.
It really is. We pour so much energy into keeping others happy, making sure we don't offend, getting that approval.
Yeah, wondering if we said the right thing, did the right thing. So today we're doing a deep dive into two tools. These sound simple, but they're really powerful for getting back some of that energy, some control. It starts with letting go of that external pressure.
That's exactly our mission today. We're looking at this evolution, really, starting with an internal tool, the 5-second rule, and then moving outwards to something pretty revolutionary for dealing with the external world, the let them theory.
Okay.
The idea is to unpack these concepts so you can, master that relationship with yourself, but also, maybe even more crucially, master your relationships with other adults.
Right. Let's start at the beginning then, the foundation. What actually sparked the first breakthrough? There's quite a story behind it.
Oh, absolutely. It came out of a real crisis. The author, she's 41, finds herself unemployed. Her main business has basically crumbled. She's staring down almost $1 million in debt, like $800,000. And her marriage is in serious trouble, too.
Wow. That's a lot.
It's a lot. But the sources emphasize the real problem wasn't just the debt or the job situation. It was the feeling of being completely stuck.
Paralyzed.
Paralysis. Okay.
Yeah, she knew what she should be doing. Get up, call the bank, face the music. But her brain was just locked down. Anxiety, self-doubt, that whole spiral. Avoidance tactics were kicking in, hard-hitting snooze, drinking too much, blaming everyone else.
So it wasn't a lack of knowledge. She knew the steps.
Exactly, she knew. But she was caught in this loop, overthinking, avoiding, beating herself up. And that's where the 5-second rule came from, that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown.
Yeah.
It wasn't about finding motivation. It was designed as an interruption, a way to basically short-circuit the overthinking brain.
Okay, so interrupt the spiral. How does that work physically? Well, it bypasses that logical, second-guessing part, the prefrontal cortex. It forces you into immediate physical action before that part can talk you out of it.
Ah, so action before feeling.
Precisely. The insight is action creates motivation, not the other way around. You don't wait until you feel like it. You'll be waiting forever.
Right.
You force the action, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Jew, and the feeling, the momentum, it follows. The countdown becomes this universal tool to push past any hesitation.
Universal. So it worked for more than just getting out of bed.
Oh, way more. It became the tool for tackling the debt, for having those really hard conversations about the marriage, for choosing the gym over the couch. But what really struck me was its clinical use.
Clinical. Like therapy.
Yeah. We found out therapists actually use it. It acts sort of like a quick cognitive behavioral therapy technique. It breaks that cycle of rumination you see in things like PTSD, OCD, even depression.
Huh. So it's a physical fix for a mental loop.
Essentially, yes. A physical intervention for getting unstuck mentally.
Okay, so the 5-second rule is fantastic for that internal battle, winning against yourself, procrastination, self-doubt. But what about the stuff outside?
Exactly the question. That's the limitation, isn't it?
Because you can 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 yourself into calling the bank, but you can't 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 the traffic jam away.
Right. Or stop your boss from micromanaging you, or prevent your family from, judging your choices.
Yeah, those external things still hit hard.
They do. The 5-second rule fixes the internal friction, the self-sabotage, but the external friction, that's still there. And that's precisely why the let them theory LTT came next. It had to.
Okay, LTT, the external tool.
Yes. LTT tackles what research consistently shows is the #1 factor for a long, happy, healthy life, our relationships, and how we manage the stress within those relationships.
Managing relationship stress.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's about releasing something. Releasing expectations, maybe?
In a big way, LTT is fundamentally about freedom, your freedom. It's about letting go of the enormous burden of trying to manage or control what other people think, say, or do.
So what's the sort of foundational law behind LTT? How do we actually start reclaiming that power we give away?
The foundation is recognizing our really deep, hardwired truth about human nature. We all crave control. It's instinctual. It's tied to survival control over our lives, our choices, our surroundings. We try to control everything.
Okay, that makes sense.
But, and this is the absolute core of LTT, the one thing the sources say you can never truly control or change is another adult person, period.
Never that strong.
It is, and trying to control other adults doesn't just fail. It actively makes you miserable. It creates stress, resentment, and it totally sabotages your own health and happiness.
Okay, let's bring that down to earth. The small stuff. Why do tiny things like seriously slow Wi-Fi or waiting in a long line or someone loudly taking a call nearby, why do these things make us lose our minds? I mean, I could go from 0 to 60 with frustration over something totally meaningless.
Right. It feels irrational, but that reaction, it's physiological. The sources mention neuroscientist Dr. Eady, who explains that this kind of stress, even over trivial things, isn't just mental irritation. It's a full-blown biological event. It hijacks your brain.
Hijack said. How?
The second you perceive that stressor, the slow line, the annoying noise, your amygdala, that's your brain's ancient survival center, it just takes over.
Wait a minute. Survival mode? Because the cashier is slow. Really?
Absolutely. It sounds absurd, but yes. The amygdala fires up, floods your system with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And here's the kicker. It simultaneously takes your prefrontal cortex offline.
The thinking part.
The thinking part, the part responsible for logic, planning, impulse control, rational decision-making, it's sidelined. So you are literally operating in fight-or-flight mode over the speed of a checkout line.
Wow. That's actually kind of shocking.
It explains so much, doesn't it? You're giving away your power, your calm, your rationality to something completely external and often trivial.
Okay, so if we're constantly getting hijacked by little things, we're basically robbing ourselves of the ability to be logical or patient or even kind in those moments. So how does LTT act as the, reset button when that hijack happens?
LTT is that cognitive intervention. It's the mental circuit breaker. The moment you feel that internal frustration bubble up, the anger, the irritation, you consciously say to yourself, let them.
Just let them.
Just let them. That phrase acts as a signal to your amygdala. It says, this isn't actually a life-threatening situation. It creates detachment from the stressor. It helps turn off that fight-or-flight response.
Okay, let them switches off the alarm. What's next?
Then immediately you follow with, let me, and you take a slow, deep breath. This second part refocuses your attention and energy back to the only thing you can control in that moment.
Which is?
Your own response, your breath, your attitude, your next action.
That refocus feels critical. I remember reading the example about the person coughing constantly on a plane. The author got instantly irritated, right? Because getting sick would mess up her work schedule.
Yeah, exactly. Her first reaction was all about controlling the other person. Ugh, I wish they'd cover their mouth. Why are they even flying sick? That's trying to control the uncontrollable.
Wasting energy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Applying LTT shifted her focus. Internally, she said, okay, let them cough. That's their situation, not mine to manage. And then immediately, let me focus on what I can do.
Which it was?
Putting on our mask, using hand sanitizer, trying to rest, deciding to maintain a positive attitude despite the annoyance. It's an active choice to protect her own peace and energy rather than letting the external situation drain it.
Okay, that makes sense for strangers or minor annoyances. But what about genuinely difficult people? People who actively push our buttons or behave badly? There's this fascinating idea mentioned from a depth psychologist that most adults are basically 8-year-old children in big bodies.
Huh. Yes, it sounds a bit funny, but thinking about it that way can be surprisingly helpful, especially when dealing with those adult emotional tantrums.
Like the silent treatment.
The silent treatment, the dramatic blow-ups, playing the victim, the passive aggression, all of it. When you apply LTT in those moments, the suggestion is to actually visualize that difficult adult as, say, their 4th grade self having a meltdown.
Okay, but hang on. If I just say, let them give me the silent treatment, doesn't that feel passive? Like I'm just enabling bad behavior or letting them off the hook. Where's the accountability?
That is the #1 question, the biggest misunderstanding of LTT. It is not passive resignation. It's actually the ultimate emotional boundary. It's incredibly active.
How so?
Because you are actively choosing not to let their immature behavior dictate your emotional state or your response. Saying let them go silent or let them erupt isn't approval. It's giving them the space to own their feelings without you jumping in to fix it, manage it, smooth it over, or get dragged into their emotional storm.
Okay, so you detach from their drama.
You detach from their drama, yes. And then comes the crucial second part. Let me be the mature, wise, and loving adult in this situation.
Let me. Back to controlling your own response.
Exactly, because the fundamental realization here is that managing another grown adult's feelings or behavior, it is never, ever your job. That's their responsibility.
That's freeing.
It's incredibly freeing. It empowers you to calmly remove yourself if needed, to set clear boundaries without getting defensive, and to stop being manipulated by their guilt trips or disappointment tactics. You essentially stop trying to manage their adult tantrums for them.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Let's apply LTT to something else huge.
Yeah.
personal ambition and that crippling fear of judgment and comparison that comes with it. The fear of putting yourself out there.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
The author mentions delaying announcing her speaking business for 2 whole years. 2 years.
Yeah.
Just because she was terrified of what people might think, that whole who does she think she is fear.
Right. That fear is incredibly common. And the LTT approach here is powerful because it feels so counterintuitive at first.
How does it work for judgment?
You actively, consciously give other people the freedom to think negative thoughts about you. You let them judge.
Wait, you let them. You don't try to convince them otherwise.
No, because trying to control their judgment is futile. It's like trying to control the weather. When you truly accept, okay, let them think I'm not qualified, or let them think I'm getting too big for my boots, you stop wasting all that precious energy.
Energy spent on worrying, crafting the perfect image.
Exactly. Worrying, strategizing how to look good, anticipating criticism, second-guessing yourself. All that energy gets freed up.
And then you redirect it.
You redirect it entirely into living your life, taking your actions, focusing on your goals. The focus shifts from seeking external validation to building internal self-pride based on your own efforts. Their potential judgment just becomes background noise, not a barrier.
Okay, related to judgment is comparison. We all do it.
Yeah.
But life just isn't fair sometimes, right? People have different starting points, different luck, different bodies. How do we use LTT here without just feeling better or falling into self-pity?
That's a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
LTT helps you separate what's fixed from what's changeable. Comparing yourself on unchangeable things, maybe someone inherited wealth or has a different natural body type that's just self-torture. There's nothing useful there.
Right. Pointless comparison.
Pointless. But comparing on changeable aspects like someone's career strategy, their marketing approach, their work habits, LTT reframes that completely.
How?
Other people's success in areas you can influence isn't a reason to feel bad about yourself. It's your formula. It's your instruction manual. They're showing you what's possible and maybe even the steps required.
Like that story about the designer, Molly. She was jealous of a colleague.
Right. Molly was talented, technically skilled, maybe even more so than her younger peer. But she felt intense jealousy because this other designer was just killing it with marketing and visibility.
Okay.
LTT would say, let them be great at marketing. That peer wasn't taking anything from Molly. She was actually highlighting the exact work, the uncomfortable stuff like networking, self-promotion that Molly was avoiding.
So the jealousy is like a signpost.
Exactly. Jealousy in this frame is an invitation from your future self. It's pointing towards what you desire and perhaps what you need to do. So let them lead the way. Let them show you the path.
That's a powerful reframe. Okay, final big area. Applying LTT not just to annoyances or our own ambitions, but to the people we love most, our family, our partners, our kids. We desperately want them to be happy, healthy, successful.
Of course.
So we push, we nudge, okay, let's be honest, we nag. We pressure them to eat better, quit smoking, look for a job, get sober. Why does that pressure almost always seem to backfire?
It backfires because it directly threatens that core human need we talked about earlier. The need for agency, for control over one's own life.
I have the control instinct again.
Yes. Adults fundamentally only make significant changes when they decide to, when they feel ready, when you push. Even with the best intentions, they feel their autonomy is under attack, so what do?
Push back, dig their heels in.
Exactly. They push back instinctively to protect their sense of control. It creates this exhausting defensive standoff where nobody wins and the relationship suffers. The answer isn't more force, it's influence. It's modeling.
Influence, not force. Okay, and the sources offer a specific method for this, right? The ABC loop.
Yes, the ABC loop. It's a structured approach for fostering intrinsic motivation in someone else without triggering their defenses. It's quite sophisticated.
Okay, break it down for us. A.
A is for apologize, then ask. You start by genuinely owning your part in the previous dynamic. Apologize for the nagging, the pressure, the trying to control them. I'm sorry I've been pushing you so hard about X. That disarms them immediately.
Takes down the walls.
Precisely. Then you shift to asking open-ended questions. This is key, borrowed from motivational interviewing. The goal is to help them articulate the gap between where they are and where they want to be, creating a little internal tension.
Okay, give me an example. What does that kind of question sound like instead of you need to find a job?
Right. Instead of telling you asked something like, I know finding work has been tough and I'm sorry for nagging. I also know you've mentioned wanting to feel more financially independent. What's maybe one small thing you could see yourself doing this week, just one thing, that might move you a tiny bit closer to that feeling?
You're not giving the answer. You're making them find it. You create the disconnect in their own mind.
Exactly. They identify the goal, they identify the step, they own the motivation from the start. That internal tension is what drives change.
Okay, that's A. Apologize, ask. What's B?
B is crucial. Back off completely. You've planted the seed with the apology and the question. Now you have to give them space. You observe their behavior, but you don't follow up, don't check in, don't remind them.
It feels hard. You just wait.
You just wait. You have to let that internal tension they now feel do its work. Let it simmer and transform into genuine internal motivation. If you jump back in too soon with more pressure, you undo all the progress. You have to truly let them be during this phase.
Okay, trust the process. And then C.
C is celebrate. The moment you see any movement in the right direction, even the tiniest step, maybe they update their resume, maybe they choose water instead of soda, maybe they just research job openings online, you acknowledge and celebrate it immediately.
Wow, big party.
Huh. No, usually something small but genuine. A warm compliment. Hey, I noticed you updated your LinkedIn profile. That's fantastic. Physical affection, if appropriate. Positive recognition of the effort.
Why, immediately?
Because that's how brains work.
Yeah.
You're using positive reinforcement. You immediately link the effort they just made, which might have felt hard, with a feeling of pleasure or recognition. It literally rewires their brain slightly, making them more intrinsically motivated to do it again. The goal is for them to feel like the change was entirely their idea and their accomplishment.
Wow. Apologize, ask, back off, celebrate. It's a system.
It's a system based on respecting their agency while subtly influencing their motivation. It takes patience, though.
Definitely sounds like it. So looking back, we've covered a lot of ground. We started with that internal tool, the 5-second rule, for battling our own inertia and self-doubt.
Right, mastering the self.
And then we moved outward to the let them theory, this powerful framework for navigating the external world. The minor annoyances, the difficult people, the judgment comparison, even influencing loved ones.
It really ties together, doesn't it? The core message running through both is about reclaiming your power, stopping yourself from constantly handing over your peace, your energy, your focus to external things you can't control.
Yeah. And emphasizing that let them isn't about being passive or giving up.
Not at all. It's the opposite. It's an active, empowered choice about what you will and will not allow to dictate your internal state. When you genuinely say let them, you're accepting reality, accepting people as they are, warts and all, without feeling obligated to fix them or manage them. It's acceptance.
And the let me part.
And when you say let me, that's where your power lies. You choose how you show up, how agency, how love, how responsibility, how action manifests in your life, regardless of what anyone else is doing. You become the ultimate decider of how the world gets to affect you.
That's a powerful place to operate from. So, to leave our listeners with something to think about, there's that famous line about living your one wild and precious life.
Mm-hmm.
If you truly embraced this idea, if you weren't worried about being judged, what's one significant change you'd actually start making today? And maybe more immediately, what's just one small let me action? Could be walking away from drama, could be starting that project. What's one small action you'll take this week to begin living a life that makes you feel proud, something to really explore?